You'll Never Find Me. It's a film which I did not expect to be as good as I found it, but I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that this is possibly one of the best movies I've watched this year. Besides a few which are some masterpieces, but this is very close, so let's get into it. So You'll Never Find Me. It follows two people. One, the guy named Patrick, who lives by himself in a little trailer park, surrounded by other people who you really never see at all. And then a stranger who we never learn the name of. Now, before I actually get into the plot of the movie and my overall review of the movie, just giving you guys like a rating and all that, I'd like to say that when I now review a movie, because I despise the BBFC, which is basically like the UK's board of age restrictions and such, I'm going to be giving the film my own opinion of an age rating. And as someone who is under the age of 18 and has watched various 18 movies, which shouldn't be 18 movie, I feel I am highly qualified to do so. So let's just talk about the movie. So You'll Never Find Me, as I said, follows Patrick and this stranger. And she just arrives at a house and you're just thrown straight into the movie. Now, the movie is very claustrophobic. If you're a claustrophobic person, you will not like this movie. It's kind of very hard to watch at some of the scenes where they're all just together. They're in like a little room, they're all together. And there are also some points where you're like, wow, these guys seem like old friends. They're getting along. They seem like they're having a great time. Yeah, they weren't. But yeah, and the film is just kind of weirdly paced, and it's really good. Like, that's the best way to describe how this film is put out. So it thrusts you straight into it at the beginning. Then it sort of slows down for a good 45 minutes. And I must say, it did not feel like 45 minutes. It felt like 10 minutes. The pacing in that bit is really, really well. Then it shifts at about the 30-40 minute mark. And the rest of the movie is a wild ride. And it's really cool. For one, I just have to say the acting in this movie from both actors was amazing. If either of you are watching this, I'd love to have you guys on the channel to discuss the movie, because your performances in the movie were great. And also just the direction of the movie was one of my favourite parts. Just the fact that every single scene feels so, I guess, in a way, it feels very claustrophobic, but at the same time, it feels very homey. And that's just another part of the movie that I like. The set design is really, really well done. Every little detail, you can just look around, you're like, oh, this is just an old man's house. He's just living here by himself, you know. He probably doesn't have a wife or anything. I'll get to that in a bit. And yeah, you just kind of just wondering, well, why is he just here by himself, you know? Why doesn't he, like, have any friends? Why do we only see two people throughout the movie? Oh, it's pretty obvious why. But yeah, so actually talking about what happens in the movie now. So, as I said, the film follows Patrick and the stranger. It mainly follows the stranger's POV. And she arrives at this guy Patrick's house and she goes inside. She's dripping wet. It's storming outside. She came here from the beach, which is one of the aspects of the film which I wasn't too sure about, because I'm still kind of confused if she actually came from the beach or if she was driven there by him. But, you know, it could all literally just be in his head. So that's the issue with psychopaths. It could all just be in their head. I'm going to say, for the purpose of the movie, though, this actually happened. So, they go inside and, you know, they're sat down, they're chatting. He acts kind of creepy towards her and he's like, take off your shirt, I'll dry it over there, have a drink, sit down. Well, she thinks it's very creepy, and he's just trying to, I guess, be nice to her and get her to trust him, which, in retrospective, is a not bueno idea. It's a muy mal idea, but eventually, she does all those things. She goes to have a shower, and she hears him, like, walking around near the door to the bathroom, which, like, kind of odd, mate, you know? You just let this woman into your house, and, what, you're perving on her in the bathroom? That isn't very nice. But, of course, he's a psychopath, so what would you expect? But I love this film. I love this film from, like, the first 30 minutes when I instantly knew this is good. And yeah, eventually, she just doesn't trust him anymore, and he gets all angry and moody because she doesn't trust him anymore, and she walks up to the door, which is open, by the way, and she's just like, give me the key, and he's just like, he's just sat there silent. And she's like, give me the effing key. And he's just like, the door's open. Thank you, alright, bye. I had a great time. Set me pervert on me in the shower. See you later. She should have just left. Idiot, honestly. But yeah, instead of leaving, she kind of feels bad for him, I guess. And she just turns around and sits back down at the table with him and drinks some of her drink, which was spiked with drugs. And yeah, then she begins feeling a little woozy here, and she goes over to the sink. I couldn't even tell if she vomited or if she was just retching, but she was retching. And then he walks over to her, and she tries stabbing him, and then she runs over to the door, and he picks her up, grabs her, and he falls on his back. It's so funny. That was one of my favourite parts of the film. It's just a bit of comedy in there with the madness and the seriousness of the whole topic. And that really just made it like the movie even more, just because of how unexpected that scene was, but because of how funny it was as well. It really worked just to break some of the tension that was built up along the way. Though, I must say, one of the things which kind of irritated me is the fact that she had the opportunity to leave literally about 5 times. She could have just not gone to his specific trailer. The amount of bad luck you have to go into a trailer park, walk around loads of different trailers, but then the one that you knock on the door of is the one of a psychopathic murderer. That's gotta be epic bad luck, as Hoffman would say. If any of you have seen Salt X, I apologise for spoiling that for you, but it's been like a year, you should have watched it now. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many different, like, times when she could have escaped and she didn't. That's really my only issue with the movie, but then again, it is a horror movie. They're gonna make some dumb decisions. But ultimately, the movie's great. But yeah, so once she started feeling a little woozy there, and they had their little tuple on the ground, he ties her up with some rope and carries her to a bed. And I thought they were going to take this in a very dark way there. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what are they gonna do? Thankfully, she just dies, and he doesn't do anything. But before I talk about what happens next, I'm gonna have to take you guys back in the movie about, like, 20 minutes before she started doing a little woozy dance along the floor, to when he went outside to see if there were kids bashing on his door and stuff, and she walked into a separate room and saw his wife's body. So basically, beforehand, he was chatting to her at the table when they were acting like an old married couple, about his old wife who he met at a gas station. He bought her crisps and a drink, and then she literally just finds her body with the same bag of crisps. So, don't think it's your wife. I think it's just a woman that you've murdered, mate. I mean, he's probably telling himself that it was his wife, because, you know, maybe they were all friendly and giggly before he brutally murdered her, but, yeah. Bit of a weird guy, you know? So back to where we were, though. Because the moment when she dies, the movie takes, like, a 180 turn from, like, your typical kind of, like, horror movie where a guy basically abducts someone and kills her, to a supernatural movie. The remainder of this movie, which is about 20-30 minutes, is supernatural, but I couldn't tell if it was supernatural, if it was all in his head. Because he does like a villain monologue beforehand, which I found really creepy. Like, some of the dialogue that he said is just really, really well written, to the point where, like, this is a person he started feeling sympathy for when he was talking about his wife and all of that. Then the moment that, like, I don't know, the moment that he grabs her and then they fall over, once you've done laughing at how funny that scene is filmed, the moment that he ties her up, you suddenly lose all sympathy for him, and all that's left is hatred. You want her to escape. You want him to get, like, killed. You want revenge. You want justice for her. But you're not gonna get that. Yet. We do eventually see that, though. But near the end of this movie, as I said, 180 turn into a completely different genre, and it really works. This is one of the times when genre switching in a movie actually worked for me. Usually it just fails miserably. Like, I think the only other time I've seen it work very well is in Hostel, where it went from, like, a buddy comedy hangover style movie to, like, a torture porn movie. This, though, this is different, because it goes from sort of, like, abduction to losing your mind / supernatural. But anyway, in the ending of this movie, we see Patrick as he sees all the women who he has murdered over the years. All the women which he has killed. Every single one of them are stood in front of him with a sheet over their head, just sort of like symbolizing they're all dead. Like, basically, it does this very, very smart cinematography trick where he walks down the hallway and he sees them all without the, like, things covering their faces and that. He sees them all how he sees them. They look all the same, basically. They're all just white women with brown hair and brown eyes, which is exactly how he described his wife in the earlier scene. But now, they all have no difference except for their clothes, because you can't even see their face, you can't see any of their hair. The only person who you do see is the stranger who went to his house earlier and who we've just seen him murder throughout the entire evening, basically. And this scene, that specific scene where he's walking up and down the hallway, that is my favourite scene of the movie, just because it shows you why, as he said in an earlier scene, I find it hard to go to sleep nowadays. I can understand why, because you're seeing visions of all the people that you murdered, mate. And I just think that's really smart to sort of give an answer to that, which was sort of just a throwaway line earlier in the movie. And also just show you how he eventually loses all of his power against these people, and how eventually they all do get their revenge against him. It's very well done, and I think that is definitely the best part of the movie. I mean, the whole film, as I said, is very good, and I do highly recommend watching it if you haven't yet. Of course, you basically heard all about it in this video, but please do go watch it. I think that scene is specifically the best part of a great movie. But yeah, moving on to what happens after that. Suddenly he starts seeing, like, flashing lights outside as if the police are there. And then the stranger walks up to him with the little bottle which had the drugs which he killed her with, and basically forces him to drink it. Then it cuts to him, regular, not not like imagining any of this just normally, holding a bottle, which I'm pretty sure may have been spiked or something, because it does then sort of like cut to outside of his trailer, and all you can hear is his laughter. That scene shot chills down my spine, because just the fact that he is dying, he is choking as well. You can hear him like grasping for breath, like a. But no, he's still laughing. He still finds it funny that he's killed all these people and that he's now like somehow dying as well. And that is really just the brilliance of this movie. It is just amazingly made. The writers of this movie did a great job. The director did a great job. And more specifically, the actors did an amazing job at just showing true fear and true psychopathy all at the same time. And just moving it all together into this claustrophobic and horrific movie. And yeah, ultimately, that is You'll Never Find Me. It's a horrifying journey about psychopaths, claustrophobia, and why you shouldn't trust people that you don't know. This is literally the embodiment of Stranger Danger, but like more real. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Ultimately, I give this movie like a 9.5 out of 10. It is really, really good, and I think it is one of my favourite movies that I've watched so far this year, even though it didn't come out this year. I'm counting it. And yeah, for the age rating, as I said earlier in the video, I'm gonna give it like a 15. If you're over 15, you can watch the movie. I think that's fair. Like, it doesn't really have much gore in the movie. There is some pretty dark subject matter, but besides from that, I'm pretty sure most 15-year-olds will be able to handle that, just because, you know, if I can sit here and watch something like this, there ain't gonna be an issue. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. What do you guys think of this movie? Let me know in the comments below if you have seen the movie. What do you think? I'd love to know. If you haven't seen the movie though, please do go check it out. I really highly recommend watching it. It is on Amazon Prime Video. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. Until next time, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. Bye bye.